Hey there, and welcome to the Bold Badass Business Show, where we bring you badasses from all over the world. And I am super excited to have another self-appointed badass, the Badass Grandma, here in the house. You all, I have to tell you, I've known CJ for a long time, and a very long time. We're in the same area. I've always been impressed by her energy. I've been to hear her when she has had her books coming out. I've heard her read and I've heard her story. And you are in for a treat. And guess what? Today we're talking about the secret recipe to be a badass, not somebody's bitch. Oh, yeah, in business and life. All right. And isn't that the secret to success? Is like to know how we can be a badass. And it took me so long to learn it. So I'm just so excited for our listeners today, CJ, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Barnsley. I'm just delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. And I love that we're both in North Carolina. And so, CJ, you have such a story. All right. And I know you've been in business for a long time, but would you share with people just a bit about the story that made you become such a badass who advocates for other survivors of trauma and abuse?
I absolutely will. Thank you. I was sexually abused as a child on up to the age of 17. And then at the age of 19, when I was a freshman in college, I was raped twice. Once by a sheriff's deputy I was dating and another by my Marine Corps recruiter. That same year, I was nearly lured into a sex trafficking ring and narrowly escaped. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what had happened to me. I just knew something awful had happened. And it wasn't until probably 15 years afterward that I heard the term human trafficking, sex trafficking. And I thought, oh my God, that's what was going on there. So I've had a lot of experience with trauma and developed severe PTSD as a result of that. In 1990, I finally got into counseling at the local rape crisis center, and they quickly asked me to join their board of directors as a survivor representative. And that started my advocacy journey. Now, I was in college at the time, gone back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And when I finished that up, I went ahead and got my master's degree in human violence because I wanted to understand how people could do the terrible things they do. And it went a long way toward teaching me what motivates people to hurt other people, because I feel like I needed to learn all sides of this. And I worked as a director of a child advocacy center for abused children, and then as director of victims issues for the North Carolina Attorney General's office. And I loved those jobs. I loved interacting with the survivors, but it was so difficult to see them keep coming through the doors. I wanted to do something to keep them from coming in through the doors at all. I wanted to help stop the violence before it ever occurred. So in 1999, I became an entrepreneur and started working on technologies and books and things like that for survivors of abuse. Then in 2020, I released the first of my 3 books for parents, Badass Parenting.
I love that.
and its companion and its companion book, Heroic Parenting. They're both the same book, but Heroic Parenting is PG rated and Badass Parenting is not PG rated. Full of snark and inappropriate comments. But I wrote them for parents of kids 0 to 9, and it covers everything from who the predators are, what the dangers are. The main dangers I cover: bullying and cyberbullying, sexual molestation and assault, online dangers where crime is going up in a really, really bad way. Sex trafficking, kidnapping, and navigating sexual consent. And then I wrote my book for parents of kids 10 to 18 back in 2024.
Well, let me pause you.
Sure.
Because I think you've already given us so much that is so powerful. And, when you narrowly escaped human trafficking, that was before people were really talking about it that much.
And they were going to send me to Florida, which is where Epstein was. I mean, for all I know, and I didn't realize, I thought some mystery man wanted me to be his mistress, this rich man. That's what they told me. They groomed me for 2 years, actually. And when I thought about it, I thought, well, they were just going to get me down there, get me hooked on drugs and put me on the streets. That's what they were going to do.
I think what you're doing is so important. And I, too, experienced sexual abuse when I was a kid. And I'll tell you what, it took me, when I had the actual memories, I had body memory, but when I had the actual memories, it was incredibly difficult
Yes.
Incredibly difficult. And the thing is that this doesn't just happen to girls, it happens
Mhm.
to men too.
I
It
think they
happens.
underestimate the number.
Yeah, think about the brothers, right? Who are
Mhm.
being can't think of their names right now. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Eric and his
Menendez.
brother, who were the
Menendez brother.
Menendez, yes, who were their dad was a pedophile and raping them, all the time. And these kinds of things, I've come to believe that they happen to us so we can change things for other people. They
Mhm.
happen to those of us who will stand up and be leaders and change it. And that's what you've been as a leader. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Well, that's my number one secret to being a badass. And that is taking anything that's happened to you, any of your trauma, and using it as rocket fuel to propel you to do great things.
All right.
To
Okay.
overcome.
That's going here in the chat. Oh my God. You just dropped a gem. Take anything bad,
Mhm.
any trauma that has happened to you.
And turn it
I
into
can't
rocket fuel.
to you and turn it into rocket fuel. To what?
Propel your efforts
To
to help
propel
others.
your efforts and purpose. Let's say that.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I love that. And you know what? It didn't happen. It didn't happen because you did anything wrong. It didn't
Mhm.
happen because there's something wrong with you. It
Mhm.
happened because somehow you are a leader. You are that person who will change the world. I love
Mhm.
this. I'm putting that in there. Aaron Baker Edgar, so happy you are here. The the caring attorney. And why are they thinking that my comment on YouTube is spam? I do not know. That is bizarre. Anyway, it's not coming up, but what a gem. Take anything bad, any trauma that has happened to you, and turn it into rocket fuel to propel your efforts and purpose. Beautiful.
Mhm.
So, CJ, our first secret is that. And, I really believe that the roots of our purpose and our calling and our business are usually found in childhood and adolescence. They're usually there. And maybe not everybody has such trauma as you had and as I had when I was a kid, but those roots are there. So would you speak to that for a second for those who are aspiring business owners and those who are thinking, oh wow, I never thought I could take that experience that I had that was so difficult and actually turn it into a livelihood that helps other people.
Well, it's very interesting because virtually every female entrepreneur and a surprisingly high number of male entrepreneurs that I know have had abuse experiences in their childhood. And I think one of the reasons why we're drawn, maybe perhaps drawn to entrepreneurship, is that it gives us a measure of control, which we like. In a world where we didn't have any control when we were children. So I think the idea that we can have that ability to decide what's going to happen next is important to us. That these are powerful, powerful people who are doing their damnedest to make the world a better place. And I love that because when you're traumatized, when you're victimized, you have three choices basically. You can become a predator like the people who hurt you. You can remain a victim and have a victim mentality the rest of your life and keep being victimized, like I was for a long time. Or you can overcome that and become the victor, a survivor, a thriver. And it's really hard because when you're abused as a child, you think you're responsible for it. The shame and the blame all fall on you. And we buy into that. The perpetrators tell us that and we buy into it because it's easier to believe that there's something wrong with us because then we can fix it.
Mm,
So we don't want to believe that we're living with monsters. How
mm.
scary is that for a child? So we believe we can control it, we can fix it. If I can just be perfect, if I can just twist myself into pretzel shapes to please this person, they won't hurt me anymore. And that is a recipe for disaster because it just makes you even more vulnerable to people who have bad intentions.
Or if I can just be invisible and be
Um,
silent, then it won't happen. And that was me. If I can just be invisible and silent, then it won't happen again. And it took me forever to find my voice.
and
And I
when
know
you
this
did,
is surprising some of you listening because you think, I'm just so out there and opinionated. But I'll tell you what, I've had to deal with a lot of fear and a lot of worry about the repercussions of speaking up and speaking out about things that I see that are unjust and
Mhm.
abusive, and calling it out.
And that's another secret to being a badass is being
Woohoo!
speaking your truth.
Speak.
Speaking your truth. And it's really, really hard. It took me decades and decades and decades to be able to start using my voice. Every time I went to go see a healer, they would say, your throat chakra's closed. I'm like, I know, tell me something I don't know. It's
Mhm.
because I was afraid to speak my truth because that would mean people didn't like me or love me. If I said the truth, it hurt people in my family and embarrassed them, whatever.
Mhm.
Screw that. If they did something that was embarrassed, that they should be embarrassed about, let them sit on that heat. Let them sit on that burner.
Mm. Mm.
I'm not going to carry that silence for them anymore. And that's what badasses do. They call it out when they see it.
I'm not going to carry that silence for them anymore.
Hmm.
What a statement. And I would say that most of you listening, you can take this and apply it to your business. All right. Because in some way, shape, or form, you are helping people overcome some kind of problem. You are helping people have a solution to a problem. And if the problem particularly has some kind of stigma attached to it, I'm sure that it's been very difficult for them to even talk about it.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be something like abuse. It can just be, I work with people who are in business, but they've treated their businesses more like hobbies. So they feel ashamed because they're not making the money and having the sustainable business that they want to be proud of, right?
Hmm.
And so it may even be something like that, where somebody just has something going on and they don't want to
Exactly.
share it.
Oh, I got you frozen there. Am I frozen for you? Oh, you're back. Okay.
Yeah. So
Technology.
it may be, no, you're fine. And it may be, if we freeze, it's dramatic. Right? We should
Freeze
freeze
tag.
looking really like we're having a lot of fun. But truthfully, you all, you know, whatever your business is, you are solving something for someone that is very hard, probably for them to talk about. Maybe you're helping them with the kid who has learning disabilities, or maybe you're helping them in their business because they're not making money and they feel like they're draining the entire resources of their family and they feel like crap because of it.
I
Or
totally.
maybe you're just helping them with a back problem that they don't want to complain about. Whatever it is, there is something that you as a business owner are helping them excavate and deal with,
Mhm.
address, and cope with. So I think what you're saying really about speaking your truth, calling out what we see is so important, and
Mhm.
being a leader in taking whatever we've gone through, because we went through it for a purpose, turning
Mhm.
around and saying, I've been through this, I made it through here, and let me share with you how I did it.
That's how diamonds are made. They're made
Yep.
under pressure. And the people listening to this are diamonds.
You are
Along with that,
diamond.
yes, along with the speaking your truth is another secret that's really important, especially for people who've been through trauma of some kind. And that is that your voice, your unique voice, is so important to this world. We tend to believe that that we hide, or we put our light under a bushel, and we make ourselves small so we don't make anybody uncomfortable around us, because everybody has to be comfortable, right? But the fact is, your voice, your unique voice, is what some people are drawn to. I remember as an entrepreneur, I can serve everybody. Who do you serve? I serve everybody. Well, no,
Mm.
that's a recipe for disaster. There, you have to pick a niche and stick with it, because those people need to hear your voice. And I have a quote by, oh heavens, his name just flew out of my head, that I'm going to mangle a little bit, but it's my favorite quote, and it's, "How silent the woods would be if only the best birds sang."
Yes.
And the quote, that's paraphrased from that quote, but think about that for a second. How silent the woods would be if only the best birds sang. The
And
woods are,
think about this too, CJ. You know what? If you've ever sat out and listened, and I know that Aaron Baker Edgar, our caring attorney who's listening in and making comments too, I know that she loves to listen to the birds. And you know that when one bird starts singing, guess what happens? Others start singing.
mhm.
And so your voice, bringing your voice forward, bringing your perspective, bringing your truth forward is necessary so that it gives other people permission to speak up as well.
It's a symphony, and it does. It gives people permission to speak up. It gives them the courage. If she can do it, I can do it. And that is so true, Barnsley. That's very true.
CJ, I know when I have gotten on Facebook Live and I'm like, oh, am I really going to talk about this? Especially during COVID, because that's when I was having a lot of my actual visual memories. I'd had the body memories for years, but I was having the visual memories at that moment of the sexual abuse. At that moment, I remember thinking, I'm really going to talk about this. And my guidance was, yes, you are. You must, because people know you and they know you are a person of integrity, and you must, because it's going to help somebody else be able to find their story and maybe be able to remember what they need to remember so they can heal.
There's a writer's prompt that goes, you tell your story and I get mine. It's like when you read a book, that you love, it's because you related to that character in some way. So when someone shares their survivor story, doesn't matter whether it was sexual abuse or a major car accident or some sort of terrible illness or losing a parent when you were young. These are traumas that they're little deaths that we have to deal with and overcome. And it's so important to recognize that that's not just what happened to us. It's what we chose to do with what happened to us that mattered.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're making me think about something I saw the other day. I was watching Mel Robbins and I happened to really like her. And I did not realize this, but she was talking with one of the people who talks about how the body holds trauma. I think it was Gabor, the researcher. I think his last name is Gabor. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, she was being interviewed by him and she started talking about an incident when she was in 4th grade and she was at a family thing and she woke up with an older boy on top of her, molesting her. And what he said to her, and he said that was really traumatic. And she said, yes, it was super traumatic. And he said, but it wasn't the original trauma. Because let me ask you this, did you tell anyone? And she said, no, I didn't tell anyone. And he said, so the original trauma was that you felt alone with this and could not share it.
I feel that one deep.
You feel that deep? Now, when I heard that, I said, oh my Lord, they just got my childhood right there. Yeah. And the reason that I know I am seriously relapsing in my consciousness when I start to feel alone, because I'm reverting back to something I felt as a child. Now, how powerful was that? The original trauma was feeling alone, so you couldn't share it. So I want to say to everyone listening, yes, share it. You are selfish if you don't share it. Whatever.
There are people who want to hear what you have to say, who need to hear what you have to say.
And it's going to articulate something that is within them. It's going to stir something that is within them. Kind of like when you see a painting. And if you're not an artist, right? I happen to love art and I have so much art everywhere in my home and my offices. And I'll look up and I'll say, oh my God, I love that. Now, do I really understand how to do it? No, I don't. But it articulates something inside of me and it makes me feel free. So I keep it around me. Now think about that. Those of you in business, you are that person for somebody. You are articulating something within them that needs to be addressed.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
So we've got 3 secrets so far. What are our 3 badass secrets again? We'll just recoup it real quick. Recap it.
You got to help me here.
Okay, we talked about sharing your voice. Use your voice, right? Speak your truth.
Speak your truth. Share your voice. Your voice is unique.
Taking your gunk, basically, taking your junk and your gunk, taking your message, turning it into a message, as Dean Graciosi says. But you put it as take your trauma, take the hard thing, and turn it into rocket fuel to propel your purpose.
Rocket fuel that propels you. Yes, and think about what rocket fuel is made of. It's made of dead dinosaurs. Okay, the things in your past are dinosaurs. Yes, it is. Petroleum is made from dinosaurs.
I love that.
The dinosaurs. It's all part of that layer there that
They're
makes it the food.
dinosaurs, and we know the
Yeah.
dinosaurs are extinct, but they
Mhm.
still were there.
Well, I'm gonna go a little deeper if I could.
Yes.
I'm in a type of therapy still in type of therapy called internal family systems, and it's based on the
Mm,
belief. It's not like multiple personality disorder or anything, but everybody
right.
has experiences in their life where they're stunted, they're stuck. So
Mhm.
they have an alcoholic parent who left. They have a mom who died of cancer when they were 13. They were sexually abused. They were in a terrible wreck. They had a horrible childhood illness. Something happened to most people. I have dear
Or
friends
somebody
who
died.
nothing's happened to. Yes, somebody died. But the ones that had stuff happen to them, it's like they get stunted or stuck at age, for me, it's age 5.
Mm.
And when I am in a high pressure situation, I become a 5-year-old. I am mentally, I'm a 5-year-old trying to deal with an
Yeah.
adult problem when I feel like I'm under pressure, not just regular pressure, but somebody's trying to embarrass me or,
Mm.
take advantage of me or something like that. I'm stuck there. And so a lot of people out there in the world that are trying to pull it together, they are, you're seeing these walk around, but they're actually 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds walking around
Yes.
in their minds. You have a boss who is completely out of control and a terrible person to work with. They're stuck somewhere.
They're having a temper tantrum.
They're having a temper tantrum. And our job is to figure out those stuck places and to liberate them, to give
This is
them
so
space
powerful. Okay,
and to
CJ,
protect
I'm going to talk about something I haven't talked about on the show, and
them.
that
Oh,
is
okay.
muscle testing. I love muscle testing. I've done so
Mhm.
many forms of healing, and I use them with my clients.
Mhm.
One thing I'm very good at knowing is when something attached to someone, and by attached, I mean it could be a thought pattern or an
Mhm.
energy that attached. And the thought pattern could be something like, say, they're 12 years old, their parents uh, divorced, and somehow they begin to believe at that point, I caused this. I'm responsible
Mhm.
for my parents' unhappiness. I'm responsible for X parent abandoning the family. So they begin to believe that and carry that through life. And that story begins to reiterate itself over and over because it wants to be healed.
Because it
It
wants to try to make
wants
it come out
to,
right this time. Yeah.
yeah. And
That's
it's
why we would pick alcoholic partners. If our dad was an alcoholic, that's why we pick an alcoholic partner. We're trying to
exactly
re engage with the situation so that we can do it right this time.
been there,
And
done
work.
that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Yes. Yes. And so the power comes when, and I'm going to add a badass secret to the 3 you've given us so far. I'm going to add my badass secret, and that is when you become willing to take yourself out of the pattern and become an observer and say to yourself, oh my gosh, right now I'm feeling like a 7-year-old. It was 7 for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
7 was one of the moments, but I feel like a 7-year-old. I'm thinking like a 7-year-old. I'm feeling like a 7-year-old. I'm scared like a 7-year-old. I lack confidence like a 7-year-old, whatever else. And to realize, oh, but wait a second, I'm 59 years old and I don't have to be that 7-year-old. The
I'm
adult
safe now.
me, the adult me is rowing this ship or rowing this boat, not the 7-year-old. And what can I do to make the 7-year-old feel safe?
That's a beautiful question. If you can, you're right. If you can disengage from the situation enough to be the observer, to put yourself outside of it and see what the dynamics are going on, you'll
Mm-hmm.
realize that you're caught in a trap, and then that gives you power. Just realizing it gives you power
And then you
because then
become
you
a
can make a
badass
different choice, and then you become a badass. You can make
and
a
you're not
badass
somebody's
choice.
bitch, right?
Nope.
I'm going to see how many times I can say the word bitch today. But you're not going to be somebody's bitch
Mhm.
because you can see, oh my goodness, this is a pattern in which I have let myself be walked on, for example, or maybe I've let somebody bully me, whatever the pattern is. And no, I'm not willing to continue this pattern. Man, I love this, CJ. This is awesome. I knew we would have fun. It's the badasses meeting the badasses on here. So, what would you say people need to do
I
when
can't see
they
the chat.
Oh, you can't? Well, that's okay. You'll see it when we get off of here. But
Okay.
we've got some great comments. Aaron says, I love very much internal family systems." And yes, so as other comments come on, I'll try to bring them in.
Okay.
Um, When someone feels really little and unsafe, what do you recommend they do, CJ? When you're feeling that lack of safety, because actually I was talking about this with the client of mine earlier. We were talking about how so many people these days feel unsafe, and that's why it's a marketing era of lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes very difficult for business owners because we must keep showing up, not
Mm-hmm.
AI. We must keep showing up. And it takes time really to establish that trusting relationship so we can help someone.
Mm-hmm.
But what can we do when we're feeling small, we're feeling unsafe, we're feeling insecure, we're feeling perhaps afraid or worried?
The funny thing is when we were little at that stunted place, whether it's 5 or 7 or 13, we felt like we had the whole weight of the world on our shoulders. We felt more mature for our age than we actually were. We felt the weight of everything that was happening to us. But what really opened my eyes to this kind of situation, is when my grandchildren became the age I was when the abuse started. And all I could think of was, my first thought was panic. Oh my God, I saw my granddaughter in the bathtub when she was 5. I was giving her a bath. And I was like, oh my God, she's too vulnerable. She's too vulnerable. And I got scared. And then I thought, look how innocent she is. That's how innocent I was.
Mm.
And I was able to apply that to myself. So my advice in a situation like that, where you get triggered, is to do your very, very best to recognize that adult you and say, we are safe and I will keep you protected. And then do it. Follow up with it. Set a boundary. Speak your truth. Do whatever you got to do. Just help, just like you would any other child, a grandchild or your own child, or a niece or a nephew. You would protect them in a situation where they felt threatened. That's what we need to do for ourselves in those situations.
So think about it, everybody listening. In your business, or maybe your aspiring business, there has been a situation recently, because there always is a situation,
Yeah.
where you have felt somewhat disempowered. All right. So just for a second, those of you who are listening, I want you to think about it. I'm very clear about what mine is. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And think about when you felt disempowered and ask yourself, about what age am I feeling? And it'll pop into your head. And then what you can do is ask that little you, the thing that came up into my head was age 8. Ask, what can I do that you need? What do you need right now? Little 8-year-old Dr. Barnsley. She was not Dr. Barnsley then, but Barnsley. What do you need? What do
That's
you
a
need?
great question. You
And
became
ask
very, oh,
yourself.
there you are.
And you'll get a question, you'll get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
You will get an answer, and the answer may be, we need to color.
Yeah. Or we need to get the hell out of this room.
Yeah, we need to get the hell out of here. The answer may be, yeah, we need to leave here. The answer may be, we need to fire that client.
Mm-hmm.
The answer may be, we need to fire ourselves from this job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the firing a client thing. Most business owners have had clients who were so difficult to work with, who were such vampires. They suck the life out of you and the money out of you and the energy out of you, and they're afraid to fire a client because they fear. Again, that goes back to that they won't like me or love me anymore. But they also fear the loss of business.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, the cost of keeping that person is so much higher than any amount of money they're giving you.
All right. That is a gem right there. That is true wisdom coming through, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of keeping that toxic client is way higher than anything we could get out of it. What a powerful thing. And as long as we hang on to that client, or we hang on to that toxic situation, or that toxic work environment, maybe, or the toxic office where we're going, co-working space, as long as we hang on to that, we don't allow the new to come in.
And that toxic employee that we keep on because they do such
and that toxic employee,
a great job, but that they poison, or we keep them on just because we're too afraid to let them go.
Right. Or yes, and they are creating more toxicity. They're rippling out toxicity, which is coming back to our business if they are our employee. So it strikes me that we should also say, before we get back to your badass things, but we're kind of coming up with one here. And that is, when we're a badass, we get to be clear about what is toxic and say no to it.
Yes. And we're the boss. We're the boss. Yeah. We get to choose, and we can choose differently at every juncture. We have a choice about, are we going to left or right? You can't, if you stay center, if you're not making a choice, you're making a choice. Indecision is
Whoa, okay. If you're not making a choice, you're making a choice.
that's a choice.
Dropping the mic. My mic
Indecision is a choice.
Oh my Lord. Yes. So you're making a choice to stay there.
To stay stuck.
You're making a choice to stay stuck. You're making a choice to stay in a place that you know is miserable.
And let that person manipulate you. You're making that choice. So if you think I'm being nice to that person, I'm forgiving them all the time, I'm doing this and everything, I'm such a good person because I don't make a fuss. You're making a choice to stay in a toxic situation. It is a choice.
You know what? I love to say, okay. I love to say, you know what? Do you remember when Jesus went in and like turned all the tables over in the temple?
Yep.
There are times that we need to get pissed off and we need to turn over all the tables because something is wrong, something is toxic, and we need to call it out. We need to stand up and do it. And maybe nobody else is going to do it. And sure, there are going to be people who are going to look at us and say, oh my God, there's CJ again. Oh my God. Or there's Barnsley, you know, saying something outlandish and, you know, getting real, whatever. Well, let those people stay in their denial.
Yes.
It's a big river, denial. It's a very long river. I think it's the longest river in the world, isn't it? Denial. And many people are in it. I choose not to be in that because I lived in it as a child. And you lived in it.
Yeah.
Time to get out of denial, y'all. Denial. It's a really nasty river. I have been down the Nile. It is nasty. So
most of my family is still there. Most of my family is still in denial. They think I'm over the top. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm dramatic. They think
you're malevolent.
I'm a therapist. Yeah, that I'm
vicious and vengeful.
Yeah, because I call the pedophiles in my family when I see them, and I.
CJ, I so appreciate that you're sharing this. Yeah, you brought it up and you shared it. All right, so we're giving people a lot of good stuff to think about, and especially, I believe, as business owners, we have the privilege of the platform. You know, this show is a platform we're sharing. And those of you listening, guess what? You have a platform too. You're on social media. You're in networking groups. You're working with people. You're presenting places, perhaps. You write books, whatever it is you do to get yourself out there. That's your platform. And it is a privilege. So what are you bringing forward onto your platform?
That's a good question. Oh, see, that's a gem right there too. What are you bringing forward on your platform? Every word you say, every move you make, it sounds like a song. Everything you say, everything you make. There is a song like that. It's a stalker song. But the point is that every choice you're making in your business is part of your platform. So if you're in a place you don't want to be, that's because you made choices to get to that point. You can choose differently and get back to your true north.
All right, so that's a badass secret right there.
Yeah.
At any moment. You can choose differently.
Yeah. You can fire that employee. It's
never too late.
Fire that client.
It's never too late, right, CJ? It's never too late.
I had a woman, I was speaking at a conference and I shared my story. And when I was done, there was a line of people waiting to talk to me. And this woman hobbled up to me. She had to be in her 70s or 80s. And she whispered in my ear, my brother molested me when I was 7. And she said, I never told anyone. See, the dude's not crying. I said, honey, you just did. And we were both like, because she'd spoken her truth. She had a safe enough place where she could share that for the very first time in 70 or 80 years.
And she could get that off her chest.
She made a choice to speak her truth. So no matter how damn old you are, it is not too late to make a different choice.
So powerful.
You know, I don't care if you're married 50 years and if you know divorce is in your heart, I don't care if you're married a half a century, it is not too late.
It's not too late. And in the same respect, if you're in your 50s or 60s, a lot of the people I work with really getting their businesses going are in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Because what has happened is they've realized, oh my gosh, you know what? This life is not forever. If I'm going to do this thing that has been planted in my mind and my heart to do, I need to get going. And that's where I love to come in and help them make it happen. You know,
if we have young day, I will. Yes, exactly. No, but if we have younger viewers today, part of the reason too is that it gets better when you get older. It does. You gain more wisdom. You gain more fuck this, I don't care what they think of me attitude. And you wear that like a badge of honor.
FTS.
FTS.
Fuck this shit.
Yep.
Yep. I think we all get our little badge. It's like Girl Scouts,
Mhm.
but for
Yep.
those of us who are beyond 50, the FTS badge, right?
Mhm.
I had a wonderful nurse that I knew who was also a speaker, and she always said she had people. One woman come up to her saying, "What are your degrees? I don't see any degrees." And she said, "Oh, I'm an RN and a PMS."
Do not mess with me.
Isn't that hilarious? I loved that. But it's never too late. That's a badass secret. It's never too late to say no to someone who has, or something that has eroded who you are, who you really are,
Yeah.
and
Or to
what you
say
care
yes
about.
to an opportunity you've been wanting desperately for decades and never said yes to. It's not too late.
It's not
My
too
mother
late.
used to complain when I was a little girl that she couldn't be a nurse because she had eczema back in the 50s when she graduated from high school, and they said, you're going to be scrubbing and doing all this stuff. You can't be a nurse. And she cried about it all the time. And finally, when she was 50 years old, she went to nursing school. She became an LPN, and then she became an RN, and she only retired when she was in her 70s. And she
Beautiful.
loved every minute of it.
And so many examples of people who started painting, like Georgia O'Keeffe, I think it was in her 50s. I think there were people like Zig Ziglar didn't really get going with
Grandma
his speaking
Moses.
career until he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
It's never too late. So CJ, what are some of the other badass secrets you're going to lay down for us here?
Well, the big one for me, for me, this is one of the most important. Can I tell a story to illustrate it? Do we
For
have time?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So as a result, I held the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress, and all the, when you're under traumatic stress, your body produces cortisol and adrenaline. It's like the antelope running away from the lion. Well, then the lion eventually catches something and goes to eat it or leaves, and then the animal has an opportunity to recuperate and get themselves back to normal. They shake it off literally. But when you're in an environment where there's abuse around you or abusers around you or trauma, you've lost the ill mother or the alcoholic father or whatever it is, you don't get a chance to recuperate. You're constantly producing cortisol and adrenaline, which are toxic chemicals to our body in large quantities. So I developed several autoimmune conditions in 1990. I was just a week after I decided to get into therapy for the first time. I was diagnosed with lupus and scleroderma, which are both autoimmune conditions. And scleroderma, especially at that point in time, was very deadly. The lifespan was like 4 years after diagnosis. So I developed these disabling conditions, and I managed to make it through college and graduate school. And I was working just fine. But in 2002, I became so debilitated that I was walking up and down the stairs on my hands and knees. I couldn't have held a tumbler, a coffee cup. I looked like I was an old lady. I weighed 240 pounds because I was on massive doses of steroids. I was miserable. I was in pain every second of the day. And the doctors at that point told me that my heart was failing due to pulmonary hypertension and that I was going to die. And Barnsley, I was scared out of my mind. I was terrified. And I dove into a deep depression and just basically waited to die. And then I got the opportunity to meet with a Tibetan Buddhist Lama who was a resident teacher at the Kadampa Center here in Raleigh. I'd started practicing meditation and things like that. I met the Lama privately. And I poured out my tale of woe, and I waited for him to shower me with much deserved sympathy. And that's when I learned that Lamas don't do dramas.
Llamas don't do dramas.
They do not. Instead, he gave me a cosmic bitch slap and told me to stop feeling sorry for myself and start thinking about the happiness of other people. And I was offended and defensive. It's like, I can't take care of myself. How can I possibly worry about other people? He insisted. It was very stern but kind. Insisted, stop feeling sorry for yourself and start thinking about the happiness of other people. So I was driving home from that meeting with him, and an ambulance went flying by with the siren blaring, and I said a quick wish that the person would find help and healing. And I thought, well, that's easy. I can do that. So over time, I started letting the cars get in front of me in line, and the mom with the crying baby go ahead of me in line at the grocery store. I gave my cane to a woman who was struggling to walk. Little things that didn't take much in terms of energy or time.
Yeah.
And I felt a little bit happier. So I started doing more. I made it a daily practice to do at least one not random act, conscious act of kindness every single day. So I was putting inspirational notes on the driver's side door at the cancer center. I volunteered at the Red Cross after Hurricane Katrina doing data entry. I did so many different things. Every single day I was doing one act of kindness. And what happened was that I become so consumed by my own suffering that I forgot that everyone is fighting a hard battle. And I reached a point of doing these acts of kindness that it opened my heart to humanity, to other suffering that is common to the human condition. And I became more compassionate as a result of that. And I reached a point where it didn't matter whether I was sick or well or living or even dying. I was content. And within 18 months after doing these acts of kindness, my condition went into remission. And 23 years after they told me I could die at any time, I'm still kicking and I'm making a fuss.
So beautiful.
And it's because of kindness.
I heard someone say yesterday, the acronym HOPE, help one person every day.
Yeah. It's like magic. It may not heal your body, but it will absolutely 100% heal your heart.
It'll heal your spirit. And it's fun. Like, because you can give to somebody. What do you realize? You realize, oh my gosh, I have something to give. And the gift may be just a smile. It might be a hug. It might be a listening ear. It doesn't have to be a tangible thing at all. No. You know, there's something we say in transformational leadership that I love, and my clients often hear me say it: when in doubt, focus out.
I like that.
Focus out. Because when we get into that place you're talking about of feeling sorry for ourselves, and we get attached to our suffering, which I think was the Lama not doing trauma. He's like, whoa, no, time out. We're not doing that. When we get there, then we begin to it begins to fester. And we just become more and more stuck. And it's quicksand, isn't it?
Yes. And that cycle of cortisol and adrenaline continues. And what the physiological changes you experience when you do one act of kindness are profound. It releases mood boosting serotonin and pain killing endorphins. So literally I was healing my body from the inside out every time I did an act of kindness. I was getting these feel good chemicals. I was getting these healing chemicals instead of the toxic chemicals that were there.
Well, think about the implications for business, you all. Those of you here, remember how we were talking about you are helping somebody solve a problem? That is really what you do. If you're going to be successful in business, you know what the problem is and you help people solve it. And you probably help them because you've been through it yourself. And think about that. When you're helping those people, you're getting those endorphins and that dopamine, that serotonin is flooding your system.
Yes.
So it's impossible to feel down. It's impossible to feel stuck when we focus out on somebody else. And as you put it, on somebody else's happiness. Start focusing on creating happiness for other people. And you'll find you're happy.
Yes. I remember one time, this is after I met the Lama and I've been practicing for a while, that I was feeling particularly miserable because I felt no reason anymore. But I was having a pity party that was turning into a grand pity ball. I mean, I was having a time with it. And then I stopped and I thought about the Lama's words. And I swear I must have channeled this because I just picked up the phone. I dialed a random number. I got the voicemail of some computer guy at a computer company. And I said, you don't know me, but I want to tell you that even though people don't remember to tell you, you are appreciated. And I hung up the phone and I felt like $1 million. I gave away what I wanted, what I needed to somebody else. And I got everything I needed in return.
That's so beautiful. My HVAC went out yesterday and I love my HVAC guy, CJ. And he knows I appreciate him so much. He got over here so fast to take care of it. And then we talked on the phone. I didn't even see him. He just did something outside, charged me a very reasonable amount. And I said, we talked on the phone afterwards and he told me what it was. And I said, well, Reggie, I want you to know, I really appreciate you. He said, no, I appreciate you. And I said, no, I appreciate you more. And it went back and forth. But the point being, yes, when we give out what we desire for ourselves, we find that our cup gets filled. Now, that does not mean deplete ourselves, because I would say that's another
recipe. That can go into martyrdom. Yeah. You don't want to do that. You don't want to give until it hurts. You want to give until it feels good.
And we don't want to give until there's nothing.
You're not being selfish. You don't really have a selfish motive when you're doing these acts of kindness for others, but you are the winner here. You get as much as they get out of it.
And you realize I've got so much to give.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I noticed, CJ, early on in my business, when things in the first decade, because you and I have been in business a long time. I've been in business 25 years, basically next
Mm-hmm.
month. And what I realized is when things would get slow, right? And inevitably, there are going to be some moments where things get slow for
Yeah.
whatever reason, probably because you haven't been marketing, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
for a while. You've been focusing on delivery. But when things get slow, I would always sit and say, okay, what can I give? What do I have to give? And I would increase my tithe at my church. I would increase my volunteer time. I would increase other ways that I could give. And what always invariably happened is then the phone would start ringing again.
Wow.
Yeah. The phone.
Two of my favorite books, I hope I can remember the name. One is called Get Clients Now, and the other one by Bill Cates is called something about referral program. It's about
Yes,
when
he's
your
such a great
customer comes
referral
to you and says,
marketing
I have this
specialist.
issue. If a customer comes to you and says, I have this issue, but it's not within your wheelhouse, it's not within that niche you created, you can say, you know what, we're not the right fit, but let me tell you who might be better fit for you. It's about helping people no matter what direction it goes, even if it's not in your direction.
And I'm going to use the word edifying other people.
Yes,
Edifying
absolutely.
other people. You know what? That's what this show is, actually. It's
Mm-hmm.
edification because
Yep.
I get to vet the people I have on my show. And
Mm-hmm.
people ask me, well, how do you get your guests? Guess what? I don't have an application form. I meet my guests and I know my guests and I have
Mm-hmm.
them on because they're freaking amazing, bold badasses. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, it just always makes me laugh when people, how you get your guests. This is why I believe the show's successful. This is
Mm-hmm.
why people listen, because everybody who comes in is amazing. But we want to edify other people. How
Yes.
can we edify the person in front of us who serves us that incredible cafe mocha? Or how
Mm-hmm.
can we edify our mechanic? Or how can we edify our trash person? You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I edify my trash people. And so if I ever leave anything out there, CJ, it doesn't matter how big it is, they take it away. No
Yeah.
questions asked, because every Christmas I'm giving them a note and cookies or something special that I've made. It's
Mm-hmm.
just because I appreciate. So what we appreciate appreciates. And
Exactly.
this is true in
Exactly.
our businesses, everybody. So you want to be a badass,
Yes.
edify and appreciate the good in your life and the good people in your life.
And count your, even when you feel like you don't have any blessings to
Yeah.
count what you can't find something to be grateful for, because gratitude, generosity, and kindness to me are the three keys to a happy life.
So I have to tell you something, CJ, that meant so much to me. All right. So I have very little family. And usually when there's some kind of holiday, my daughter wants to go with the Peruvian side of the family because there are 25 people who show up and it's a lot of
Oh my
fun,
God.
right? I mean, of course she wants to do that. I'm fun, but I'm not as fun as 25 people. And, all the commotion and fun chaos of that. And you invited me to your Thanksgiving celebration. And even though I was sick this year and I ended up spending Thanksgiving by myself because I didn't want to get anyone else sick, I was I was fine with that because I needed to get well. But I was so touched that you would invite me to your home, and I would have been there had I been well. So I just really appreciated that generosity. And I think that this is a way that we in business can never fail. If you keep generosity of spirit, you will never fail, because everything that we give to others, whether it's energy, good positive energy, or money or support, everything that we give, or a gift, whatever, everything we give is going to return to us multiplied. It is a law of the universe.
It's the law of reciprocity, and it works. It works.
And the law of reciprocity can work in a way that's not great when you do crap to people.
That's right. That is right.
You better watch out.
It works in
And
both
this is
directions.
where I do take some great, how can I say, satisfaction in the universe's justice system,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a higher justice.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think it's great to lock away those people who are hurtful to animals and children and other people, there is a universal justice that will catch up
Mm-hmm.
with them. And that's the justice that is the most
Yeah,
powerful,
one
I
way or
believe.
another.
It's going to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to catch up. And so when you're in business, if you, for example, of want to get out of contracts with people and don't honor your contracts with people. Or let's say you don't deliver what you say you'll deliver. Or let's say you take people's money and disappear, which sadly there are people who do this. Those things are going to come back and they will haunt you, they will find you, and they will impact your business. You know what, CJ? Okay, I'm not bragging, y'all. I just want to make that clear, but I'm going to say something to you. I remember that I had to get, and this is to you, everybody, CJ and listeners, right? I remember I needed to get a collection agency at one point, right? Because I just had several people, and it was during COVID, and it was maybe just something happening more then. And I remember talking to the guy at the collections agency, and he said, well, you know, tell me about how many, you know, people you get asking for refunds or not paying or whatever. And I said, let's see. I went through my years of business and I could count it on like less than 6 fingers, right? And I told him, and he said, what? How long have you been in business? And I said, well, at that point, it had been about 20 years. And he said, wow, are you serious? And I said, yeah. And I really believe in my heart that that is because I always try to follow through on what I say I will do, to pay what I need to pay, to take care of those bills and contributions, and to honor a contract, even if I'm not going to follow through in it, right? To honor the part of the contract that I need to honor. Maybe I'm not going to complete a program, for instance, but still to pay the tuition. And I believe it's all because of that, really, that I've had so few people who have been dishonest. Is the best way I can put it, dishonest.
Yeah.
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 And having an awesome credit score. It's like unbelievable. 843.
That makes a difference.
843. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
But there again, it's just because of this mentality, because I believe, and this is how to be a badass, you all, when you know yourself and you know you have integrity, even when people try to gaslight you, even when they're jealous and they try to say stuff, even when they pull shit, you know who you are and you stand up for who you are, and you can live with yourself because you've done the right thing, your truth.
Exactly.
So we have already gone, I can't believe we've already talked 52 minutes. This went fast, CJ.
Gosh. It did go fast.
God, I think we need to do a badass workshop together.
So much fun.
Put in the chat, would you come to a badass workshop? How to be a badass in business?
With a panel with a bunch of badass people on it.
Well, I see it as like a workshop where we do some badass practices where you can release the stuff that's holding you back from being a badass, you know? And we do all have those parts of ourselves that we need to deal with. I'm very clear about that. It's not like you and I have gotten to a point where we are suddenly, I am the badass and I am only a badass. No, I have my moments where I doubt myself. I have my moments where I don't feel good enough. I have my moments where I wonder or worry about something. You too, right?
Yeah. And what makes you a badass is that you move forward despite those doubts.
And I talk about it.
Yeah. Courage isn't the absence of fear.
Courage is not the absence of fear.
It is the presence of, I don't know the word for it. It's the presence of the decision to move forward anyway, even when fear exists. That's courage.
The presence of commitment.
Yeah.
And I always say that our missions have to be bigger than our fear.
Yes.
Our mission and our purpose must be bigger than our fear. And who are you going to let run the show? Are you going to let fear run the show? That's not very fun.
No, it's not very profitable or acceptable either.
Yeah, go lock yourself in a room, and sequester yourself, or go find a bomb place, a bomb refuge, and lock yourself in. And it's not going to be fun. You might be protected, but that protection is going to incarcerate you at the same time. Well, absolutely. You all, that courage is not the absence of fear. It is being committed no matter what. I love that. So CJ, it's my favorite part of the show where I talk about the Bold Badass
There I am.
Business Vault. You're fine. And I want to
You
let
see me,
everybody
Barnsley?
know that the Bold Badass Business Vault is where we have all these gifts from incredible guests available to you completely free. And get out your pen because this is where you'll find it. Here's your address, bit.ly/free from Dr. B, DRB. Let me repeat it, bit.ly/free from Dr. B, all one word, free from DRB. When you put your email in there, we do not share it. We do not sell it. We do not do slimy things with it. You get access to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of incredible gifts, e-courses, videos, discounts, trial memberships to networking groups, all sorts of things, complimentary sessions. And CJ, what would you like to add into the vault today?
Folks can contact me, and if they are interested in protecting a
Well,
child
we're going
they
to put
know.
it into the vault. So what are you offering?
Into the vault. I'm sorry. I am offering a handout. One's called 61 Ways to Nurture Your Inner Badass. Because
Whoa, I love that.
One thing entrepreneurs need is, people think, well, I'm being selfish if I do this for me. Go full. You are being self-full. If you don't fill your own well, no one can drink from it. You can't help anybody if you do not take care of yourself first. And that I'm speaking a little hypocritically here because I'm a workaholic.
Yes, I know. I think I
have it on my calendar. Oh, this is a good tip. On Alexa, if I have something on my calendar, Alexa will read it to me. So on my calendar, 3 times a day, I have, what do I need in this moment? No, how's it go? It's what do I need in this moment to take care of myself? 3 times a day, Alexa says that out loud, and I have to pause. Maybe it's taking something to eat 3 hours after lunchtime, or going to the bathroom a half hour after I really needed to, or just sitting things down for a minute and meditating. You're worth that time. You'll be a better entrepreneur because of that time.
And you know what, you can do it through Alexa, or you can do it on your phone. And I actually have a mantra I'll put on my phone. Like, I'll decide on 3 words, and the 3 words will change. So it might be bold, courageous, fun, whatever. And that they change. And I'll put it in so that I have an alarm that'll go off 2 or 3 times a day, and I'll just be reminded of this. And it could also be a mantra about yourself. It could be, you are a badass. You just put that in there, and when it goes off, then you see it in the alarm, and you're like, oh, I am a badass. A reminder. I love that. So 61 ways to nurture your inner badass. Not 50 ways to leave your lover, but rather 61 ways to nourish your inner badass. What a great gift. And you all listening, that is going to be in the freebie vault, the Bold Badass Business freebie vault at bit.ly/free from Dr. B. DRB. Well, CJ, this has been a joy to have you on here. I knew we would have a great conversation. I've just been waiting for the right moment for this to happen. And those of you listening, please comment and share this, especially with someone you feel like is a little stuck or maybe having a little bit of a hard time. And you always hear me say this at the end of the show, but maybe today you don't feel like a badass. Maybe today you feel like you're anything but a badass. However, I know, and so does CJ, that you are a badass, or you would not have tuned in with us today. So thank you again, CJ, for being here. And listeners, I will see you back next week, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Onward.
Thank you, Barnsley. Thank you all.